What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. I'll try not to sing. Even if it's a karaoke show that I do for you, I'll try not to sing. You know, a lot of people, when I do the karaoke shows, they go, "Don't you sing?" I go, "No, that would take like 3 or 4 minutes away from you guys. It's all about you." Speaking of entertainment, today on the program, Emily Glazener. I know you know who Emily Glazener is. If you're a longtime listener of the What Makes You Famous podcast, you know who Emily Glazener is of Red Iris, amongst other things. We're going to get to catch up with Emily Glazener, so stick around for that. This week's shows, I will be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, Friday night, my regular Friday night gig, my one public show. I do a lot of weddings and parties on Saturdays, and those are my private shows. But on Friday night, that's my public gig. You're all invited. Come on out. Conway, Arkansas, the Rab, Friday night, 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. Video dance party, karaoke jam. Yeah, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. I'm just pressing buttons here. Allow me to press a button and play that song for you and let you be the star of the show for at least 3 or 4 minutes, right? Depending on what song you pick. Yeah, they got a full bar. The kitchen's open. Pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try to make some money playing pool, I encourage you to check out the Rab, Conway, Arkansas, Friday night. Don't worry. You got time. You got time to get there. Come on out. That's my Friday night gig. All right, let's get into it with Emily Glazener. I got her on Skype, so if you're listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version, and you can see her pretty face right next to me. Skyping Emily Glazener now. Oh, there's the face I've been missing. Emily Glazener in the house. It's been 4 long months since last we spoke, and what an action-packed 4 months that has been. New things going on. What's happening with you, Emily Glazener?
Well, I've got my new album just is coming out before the end, or my new album, my first album, because everything else I've done is Red Iris. So my first album is coming out before the end of the year, and that's really super cool. And but my new single just dropped. It's called Spotlight, and it just dropped on Monday. And a lot of people are really, really, really digging it and getting a lot out of it, and that was the whole point of it. So I'm really excited about that.
This guy included. Oh my goodness. The beginning of that song. All right. I kind of liken it. All right. Dare I say it? Freddie Mercury, when he came up with Bohemian Rhapsody, and the beginning is very cut down. It's him and a piano. The beginning of your song is you and a guitar, really showing off the vocals, your pipes, which, of course, amazing. You've been working them for the longest time, and yeah, they're well worn and well adjusted. I don't know if well worn, well adjusted, and very beautiful. But that beginning, that first minute, is you and the guitar, and then boom, here comes a band. Is that the whole? Wait, now you're gone solo, like that time Mick Jagger went solo for a little bit. You're still with Red Iris, right?
Absolutely, I'm still with Red Iris. It's just it's a way to express how just they're just my feelings. It's the name of the album is going to be called Finding Irene, and my middle name is Irene. So and I'm really proud of my middle name. I was named after my great grandmother, but it is something that sets me apart from every other Emily that I've met. And there's a lot of Emilys out there. Mm-hmm. All you Emilys, we got a great name, don't we? But besides that, it sets me aside. My name is Emily Irene. That's pretty rare, actually. So I enjoy the name Irene, and it's about, for me, it was just, I think, I lost my husband 7 years ago, and it really is about, just kind of finding the things that I like. Like, I like the color red. And I know that sounds like a crazy thing, but like I do like the color red. I like black and red. It's really cool. But he was such a Longhorns fan. We couldn't have anything red in the house. If I wore something red, it was a hoot. He could be so weirdly funny about particular things. But I like Converse. I don't always want to throw my hair back in a ponytail, and those are things that he liked. He liked my hair in a ponytail, looking all sportsy. And I like that too, but I really do like my long hair and my kind of rocker look. And, I'm very different than when I was married to him and when he was still alive. And I'm kind of coming into that and being okay and not having any guilt with it. And just like I like myself. And it's been a 7-year journey of just finding me.
You're doing it, and I know we've talked about this. You've been on the podcast, and this is probably your third time at least that you've been on the What Makes You Famous podcast, and I'm so happy to talk to you. It's I'm the kind of fan who thinks that I know you better than I think I know you, because you're on my screen doing videos every week, at least once a week, sometimes more, especially those Sunday roundups. I'm always thinking,
Yeah.
I really, really know this person. Well, I guess we've kind of gotten to know each other over the past couple of years, since the first time that you were on the podcast talking about Red Iris. And yes, you did really delve into your story. So I encourage the listener, anyone who wants to hear that full story, go back. There's tragedy in there, but then there's good things. You got some kids that came out of it, and that's beautiful. And you're a mama. And you know what I like about when I do these with you, you're a pro, because you do these videos all the time. You know how to set the camera in front of you in a steady position, find a nice room. And if you're listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version, because she has the posters of the icons in the background and the things that really matter in Emily's life. Emily Irene, which sounds like a song. Emily Irene, or I'll take you home again, Irene. No, okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
There must be an Irene song out there somewhere. An Irish jig or an Irish ditty. Any Irene songs pop in your head?
Probably. No, I know that there are definitely songs about Irene. But I can't think of a video off the top of my head right now.
Well, I know Irene is kind of an older name. It's definitely something that,
It
it came from your grandma, and that keeps her alive forever and ever. That's how we stay immortal, is we get remembered. You remember your husband. You remember your grandma. You remember the people that have come and touched you in your life, and the people that have gone. And, bonus for you, bonus for them, is you get to put that in song and make them live forever and ever through song, through the art that you create. Oh, yes. But I digress. I love the fact that you're a songwriter. I love the fact that you're a musician and a singer. These are all things that I aspire to be, but I will probably never be, because my lease in life is promoting other people. I love talking to people such as yourself, creators. I'm the guy that presses play and your song comes out. Here comes Spotlight, which is a song that really is, in 3 minutes, you explain a big chunk of your life. Tell me about Spotlight.
Yeah.
Did you write that yourself, and how did that come out?
That is completely my song, Spotlight. But Georg Klein in Germany, he brought it to life in the sense of the instruments that he picked. He's my producer and collaborator in the sense of, bringing that great sound to it. But the song is mine. I think in life, there are certain people who come into your life and they change you in such a way. And I had that. And there were three women in particular, Celeste Velasquez, Diana Burns, and Caroline Perez. They I played music with all of their husbands, and they brought me into the fold of like the band family in a way that was never patronizing and never, oh, well, let's bring the widow because, it was never like that. It was always, come on, let's do this, it'll be fun. It was just such a great thing. Like bike riding, like we do this thing before COVID we did. It was a ride till you fall off. So it was a pub crawl. So much fun, just a blast. We do that during St. Patty's, or we do it during Day of the Dead. Just a lot of really fun, cool things that we would do, and they brought me into that fold. And it was never, oh, you poor little thing. It's just like, let's get on with life, but not in a mean way. Just I know Celeste Velasquez, she said to me, she said that you're so strong. Emily, you are strong. And I remember telling her, Celeste, I'm not strong. I just don't have any choice. And she got in my face and she's like, no, ma'am, you do have a choice. There are women who give up. They bring some other person into their lives to help them do everything. And she goes, and you took care of the kids and you do it on your own. And she goes, and there's honor in that. And that, there are people who meet other people. I just didn't. I wanted to make sure that I raised my boys. It was me. And I don't fault anybody for doing it any other way, but I like the fact that I'm bringing them up the way that I believe that he would have. Like I even tease my children mercilessly, just the way I know their dad would. But it's about those women coming into my life and building me up. And there are other women like my friend Lisa and Stephanie, how they came into my life and how they build me up. And one of my best close friends, Ella, she did the same thing. And, we as women get a really bad rap of, getting up the ladder by pushing other women down, and I think that's crazy. And we shouldn't do that. It does happen, but it shouldn't be that way. It should be, I hear you. I'm listening. I know your story. You tell me everything that's going on. And there's a line that I use in the song. It's, only you write your song. Only you can tell me who you are, And I just love that idea. There's a lot of artists that I know on Twitter. The one in particular, her name is Helen Andrews. And I met her because remember I talked to Eddie Izzard January 5th, 2021. I say that, but we both talked to Eddie back to back. And she watched me and she thought, oh, what a lovely person. Then I watched her right after and I thought, oh, what a lovely person. And we, throughout the months, just kind of became Twitter friends. And aren't we lucky? She wrote this beautiful song for Nazanin, Free Nazanin in the UK. And
explain a little bit. I don't know what Nazanin is.
I'm gonna get it all messed up. I promise you, I will.
Stay fuzzy.
There's a woman who is imprisoned, and I believe it is in Iran, and she was supposed to be in prison for 5 years, but now that 5 years has passed, and they're wanting, the government to do something to bring her home. Now, forgive me if I get any of that wrong, but that's the short of it. She's got a daughter. She's got a husband. He was doing a hunger strike, to try to get the government to pay attention. And my friend Helen, this is that whole Spotlight. I know you asked me about Spotlight, but this is where Spotlight comes from. My friend Helen is such a wonderful person. She wrote a song, and it's called Free Nazanin, and it's just absolutely beautiful. I did another interview with a radio station, and they asked me what songs do I want to hear, and I picked the band Hennessy and Helen Andrews, Free Nazanin. That's Spotlight. That's bringing people up and pushing them up, and you got it. You rise where you fall. You just keep going, and we'll be here behind you, pushing you, supporting you all the way. But I love what Helen did. I love the wonderful kind of person that she is, and she reached out to me and said, "Hey, will you just sing the chorus?" And put it on Twitter, and I was like, absolutely, So I was like, I hit her up, and I was like, what is it, like D, A, G, B minor on the round? And she was something like D major 7. Like I dumbed it down completely, but it sounded great. Yeah, I know. Like you look at it and be like, I don't know what that is. I know what it is. I dumbed it down because her version is so beautiful, and I sang the chorus and I put it up, and I just, she says such a beautiful, wonderful thing. And that's a woman that I know. I know a lady named Lynn Raja. I did an interview on her, and finding out how wonderful she was, I've struck up a friendship with her. She's got this great music. She's classically trained, and she does, it's electronic music, but in such a brilliant way. So that's what I mean in Spotlight. We should lift each other up in a way to better ourselves and each other instead of bring each other down.
See, I love that you're saying that. I have a real Pollyanna attitude where I think that most people are good. Most people are trying to help out one another. I think, you take care of yourself, make sure that you're, set and you have a roof over your head and food on your plate, and then try to take care of somebody else. And I love that you did a radio interview, and out of all the songs you could have picked, you picked this one song from an independent artist that touched your heart, and she's trying to do something for somebody else, for another woman who is stuck in jail.
That was exactly it.
Yes.
She has a beautiful voice, a beautiful talent, but what she was saying, how some people say things in songs where they skip around it. She doesn't skip around anything, but she does it so elegantly, and she's right to the point. I love it. Helen is a wonderful person. Like I said, Lynn Raja is also a wonderful person. I love the band Hennessy. Oh, Caitlin Gray has this amazing, beautiful voice. This is another lady that I know who she sings in French in such an amazing way. And then, of course, in English. And then I'm like, I don't even know how you do that. Oh, I love it. Because, my Christmas song that that'll be released in a few weeks, I sing in other languages, but it's the best. It's just Merry Christmas. And this lady's singing I don't know. It's just wonderful. And her voice, Caitlin's voice, is smooth and beautiful and soothing and powerful. And I'm just looking at it oh my gosh. I love it. I love how we're all kind of different, but all the same. And we all have that same drive. There's an amazing, there's a lady named Abby Kay, actually. She's a wonderful young woman named Abby Kay. And she plays bass in her rock band. There's so many really amazing women out there. And I'm throwing these out because I know them, in the sense of social media. And some people think social media isn't personal, but actually it can be very personal. It's how you handle it. Mm-hmm. Whenever I'm talking to people, I really enjoy letting them know who I am. This way I am doing with you. As you can see, I ramble. And getting to know them, and it's a really wonderful way you can do something like that. Like you and I, we met through Twitter.
Yes, we did. And I do appreciate that you keep up with people on Twitter. Yes, it can be used for good. People out there, listener, it can be used for good. You have Jorg out there in Germany that's mixing your songs, and you talked about Abby Kay. I have one Abby Kay that I talked to on the podcast. Another Abby Kay that's I think she's in the Northwest in Oregon or Washington, somewhere out there. And then while I was, following her on Twitter and I looked up Abby Kay, the Abby Kay bass came up as well. So I started following her as well. And I'd love to have her on the podcast and chat with her a little bit about what's going on.
She's an amazing young woman. Mm-hmm. She's very, very talented. I'm impressed, because I've done the same kind of thing, for years and years and years. You do those gigs, you play outside, and she's one of those people she's a hustler. Very impressed. I like her quite a bit, Fantastic. It's always fun,
But all right, this is the first time you've gone solo. I mean, what is it that was the band taking downtime? I guess because of COVID, and you're stuck in your room by yourself, and you're just like, what am I going to do with my life? I'm a creator. I got to create. And did you write? Okay, you have the Spotlight, but you say you have a whole album. Do people put albums out anymore?
I've got 12. Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got 12 songs set on an album, including my Christmas song. So, and definitely people still put out albums.
Yeah,
I say right now,
artwork
I listen to music a lot of times in albums. I love Sarah McGinnis's Unbroken. I listen to that at least once a week. So, and the album all the way through. Another thing is like I love listening to Black Keys, Turn Blue. Oh, that's such a cool album as well. These are things that but I like to listen to it in the album. And then I have days where I just want to listen to my playlist on iTunes. So, but there are James Taylor. I know it's a greatest hits, but the greatest hits album, which is very, very famous. And I broke my father's cassette of it because I listened to it so much. I listened to that in the album form. I don't want it coming any other way than the way it comes. That's how I want to hear it. 11/17/70. It's an Elton John album. I listen to album wise. I don't want to hear anything else. I don't want it mixed all around. I just want to hear that album. There's a few of them that are like that, that I'm really particular about.
Oh, you're talking about greatest hits.
I love the idea of putting it out.
Yeah, I love albums. I mean, I was a baby DJ back in '86 when I first did my first gig, and I got paid $50. Yes, that made me a professional DJ. So
$50 in 1986 was a lot, though.
Yeah, but I paid $75 to rent the equipment from Guitar Center. But
Negative 25.
It was an opportunity, but no, I spent my days at the record store thumbing through albums, looking at the artwork, looking at the liner notes. Hey, could you play this? Going into the listening booth with a pair of headphones similar to what I'm wearing right now, and listening to a brand new song. And then, I have a gig at a club. My job is to play that new music. So yeah, I'm pulling out Spotlight this week, and I'll be playing it at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. And people are going to go, what is this?
That's awesome.
What is this? Oh, that's Emily Glazener. Irene Glazener. Notice I changed your subtitle there on the broadcast software. It says Emily.
I see
Irene
that. I like that. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of Irene. And to answer your question, it's just there's music that I was writing, and I really like it, but it's not necessarily, not all of it is very Red Iris kind of music. Some of them are ballads. There's one, it's called Petal. It's the Petal of a Rose, and it literally is about. It's very personal. It's about the last days with my husband, and then the memories of before we even thought this would happen, and what it's like to kind of be, when you go through something like that, and you're standing in the funeral, or you're walking through, and you're picking out your 42-year-old husband's casket color with his mother. So you're with his mother, which is her only child, and you kind of can't break down because you're there for her, and your kids are so small and you're there for them. So you almost kind of cocoon yourself into this, like, almost not feeling. And even though you're there, you're not there. It's almost like you're floating above yourself doing these kind of things. So going back and remembering them and feeling it, and I'm not the only one who's ever gone through that. I'm not the only one who's ever going to go through that. But my great message to whoever is, unfortunately, you're not alone. It's okay. And some things do get better. You always miss them. The hurt's still there. It's still lying under there. It's that pain. And, you kind of things kind of cover it up with time, but time doesn't make it go away. You just learn how to live with it in a different way, and try to say, this hurts. Somebody else is probably hurting. And what could I do that would make them feel better? I just try to take that pain of something and make it into a positive thing. Some people will dance around and they won't ask you. And they'll say, I really didn't want to ask you about blah, blah, blah. You should. Actually, I think a lot of times people want to get the chance to say, this is how I feel. And if you don't ask, they never have that chance, because then they think they're burdening you. But if you ask them, they will tell you.
Oh, my goodness. The strength of people, and the strength of a woman, and the strength of a mother in particular is you're the strongest women. You're the strongest people in the world. My mom, she didn't go through death, but she went through divorce. The other D that happens, she's on husband number 4, and each one of them tore a little piece out of her. And she's told the story on the podcast before, and she's told this story publicly. But they tear a little piece out of her, but she kept that public face. that strength for the two boys in the house, her kids, her little ones who were going through it, and she had to protect us. And that's what you do. The strength of oh my goodness, you think you want to brush it off. Oh, I'm not strong. I'm just Emily. I'm just Irene. I'm nothing special, but you are special. You through that hardship, you could have shut it down. You could have said, "Oh, I'm just going to crawl into a box and that's it. I'm done. I'm going to sleep all day and my kids can take care of themselves." But no, you took care. You found the courage and the strength to go on, to persevere, and that's what you do. And you're writing the songs, and you're immortalizing, not just your husband, but all the other people that have touched your lives, that have come and gone. And so, tell me about some of the other songs. I mean, the spotlight is definitely, it may not be entirely about you, but it is a big chunk of what you go through. Hey,
the spotlight is all different kinds of people in my life. Like I said, for the women, but stand up and sing. I have a very good friend, and I talked about his wife. I talked about Celeste Velasquez. I was talking about Jean. Jean Velasquez was my boss for years. We worked side by side, almost like brother and sister. I mean, we can argue like that too. We just clicked in such a way that it was so. He could tell me things that no one else could tell me. He could literally say things. I remember once I was having a problem, and he turned around and he said, "They just don't know how to talk to you." And then he said, "Think of it this way." And he said it in a different way, and I just understood it. Like, he literally knew how to talk to me. And I can remember there was a show that we were all at, and it was a jam. And it's where you all get together, and you've been playing different gigs for a couple of weeks, but they would have a jam on Sundays here in Houston. And I remember there were these girls, and they were up on the stage, and they were trying to sing over each other. And I was going to be coming on and singing in a couple of minutes, because that's what we all did. We just got up there and sang our new songs and things like that, our new covers that we were doing. And I remember so clearly Gene turned around and telling me, he goes, "Just stand up there and sing, girl. Just be you. There's always going to be someone better, and it's okay. Just be you." And that gave me more confidence. I remember I got up and I let the person harmonize with me and go all over the place, because once you're up there, other people believe they need to jump up on stage with you too, which is fine and fun. And I'm that kind of person. It's really easy to sing with me. Even if I'm like the lead singer, I'll let you have it, because I have that in my head. I have his words in my head. Just stand up there and sing, girl. There's only you. You're the only you. And there's always, it's because no matter what you do in the world, there's always going to be someone who's going to be eventually better. So just do what you do. There's just you. You're the only you. And it's funny. I've talked to him about it, and I think he kind of remembers it. We'd never admit it. Like, oh yeah, guy. But it's probably something he just said in such passing, but it made such a point in my life, to really understand. Yeah, there is just one Emily Irene, and I'll do my own thing. And so that's a part of, Spotlight. I told you the part that was Celeste, and the girls, Dinah and Caroline. They both say this line, "My sweet girl, sweet girl." Oh, I said sweet girl, and they say it in different kind of ways, and I like that, and so I put that in there. And then I've done other songs. There's a song called "I Lost Her." And I'm almost singing in the way you've lost a mother. But I know that when I'm singing it, there's a friend that I lost. She was 32 years old. And we met each other because when we were kids, 18 and 15, we both were fans of Elton John. And we were fans of an Elton John fan club type thing. And we wrote in, and they kind of put us together. And so we became pen pals, and we just adored each other. And we were so polar opposite, So I learned so many Yiddish words from her. I loved it. I loved her family. I would go and I would have Thanksgiving with their family like 2-3 years in a row. Spent part of a Christmas there, even though it's, Hanukkah. It was just really wonderful. And she died suddenly at 32. She died in a hospital, and it was just, she went in for pneumonia, and she never came out. Like by the early morning of the next day, she'd had a massive heart attack, and it's just awful. And I found out about it on Facebook and immediately called her mother. And I kind of just, because I was still in that mourning of, Christian, just you kind of take on this really weird numbing thing, and I dream about her at times. So I decided to sing this song for her and write this song called "I Lost Her." And when it is done, I will send it to her mother and her sister, and it will be dedicated to them because, I mean, they were really wonderful, beautiful people in my life as well. But that is something I I like the fact that I can share that with them. And I know there's a lot of people who've lost people like that. I sing it in the way that I'm talking about a mother because I think that's very universal. Mm. But one of the lines is, I remember the way she smelled and how she walked. Because everybody has a different gait. And most people have a different wonderful smell about them. And most people think about that about their mother. But I remember that about Tracy. She always had this, almost like vanilla. It was very strange. But yeah, she was wonderful. So I wrote that about her. I wrote quite a few songs about different people, but yeah.
I know those people that, when they die and they those first few days, I remember at least one in particular, my grandfather, when he died, those first few days afterwards, I was thinking, did he really die last night? Did he really die a couple nights ago? It's you have to come to grips that you're not going to see that person anymore.
Yeah.
And I remember these feelings, and you're writing them down, and like I said, you're keeping these people immortal forever and ever. That's a superpower that you have to write songs, and yeah, you put them out there, and I can tell that they're not Red Iris songs. These are songs that are more Emily Irene songs. These are personal to you, and
that's exactly it.
You're taking the experiences of your life and putting them out there to the world. You're opening wounds, that really you could have left closed, but you're ripping Band-Aids off. You're slashing open cuts and letting people see the real you.
Well, I think I said in the beginning of our interview, I am not the only one who's ever done this. I'm not the only one who's ever gone through it, and I'm not the only one who's ever going to. And there be several people after me that I'll know that go through something. And I think just having just a little bit of knowledge. I once was able to tell a friend what their dad was going to look like after he passed away. I know that sounds crazy. I said, but it's gonna freak you out, but they're okay. It's okay, because a lot of people have never seen a dead body. Unfortunately, I have seen too. And so it's that kind of, there's little bitty things really can help in such a way. I know this particular friend, it did kind of help, afterwards we talked, and they were like, yeah, knowing that that's what was going to happen made it a little bit okay, that kind of thing. I mean, we talked about my grandfather. You talked about your grandfather. I wrote a song that's on this album, and it's called Mississippi Take Me Home because I'm from Mississippi. And while I was recording it, I added lines. It was almost like it just came through me, about my grandfather, because the song was always about my grandfather. But I put in a personal touch, like we're from Natchez, but they lived in a town right outside of Natchez called Sibley. So I made sure that went in. So my family will know Sibley, yeah. And
how did you slide that in? Did you just come out and right on the nose say Sibley, Mississippi?
Yeah, I said Mississippi, take me home to that house in Sibley. I know that I won't roam. Mississippi, take me home. I know I can never go back. The way I'm saying it in this song is, I know that I can never ever go back to the Mississippi I had as a child, and my Mississippi childhood. So many memories are with my grandparents. Running through their acreage. They had this big farm. I remember when there was no pond. I remember they had a pond. I remember when they took the pond away because it was just so. I can remember so many things, but he would say hello and goodbye and good night and good morning the same way. He would always say, I love you, girl. That's how he would say all of his greetings. It was, and he had no teeth. He looked like the bitter beer man. He was a teenager on a Navy ship you know, when Japan was bombed, you know, he'd seen so much in life. You know, he'd come into his own as an oil man, and finally he did so well, sold it to another company. And you know, we talked about my family and then you know some of them in the oil business before. So it was just such a neat thing to be able. You know, I talked about how, you know, I can remember being a young kid, because you know, he was an old man riding on his shoulders. There aren't very many pictures of things like that, but I remember that. You know, I remember about holding his hands, and I remember seeing my son, who was 19. That was his great grandfather, and they were close, and he did those things too. And I know all of my cousins, how much they loved him. And like I said, everybody's got that grandparent that you just, whether it's your grandmother or your grandfather, that you just adored. They were just good, you know.
He's immortal.
So that's why I share it.
He's living forever. He's living forever because of you. You know, partially because of you. I'm sure other people remember him. He sounds like a character, quite a fella. And I'm glad that you shared that story about him. So, how did the pond go away and come back? What was that on?
So I can remember, like I said, that they had that, you know, we'd never had a lot of money, but they did have a lot of money at one time. And so I can remember that my grandmother wanted a pond. So I remember coming down there, and when all they dug up a certain area, then they, you know, made it really, really muddy. Then they filled it in. Then I remember them bringing the fish in. I remember when they went to go get cattle, you know, because we all got to pick out one. The one I picked out produced quite a bit of calves. So, like, I remember that really well, because they sent their cattle off to butcher whenever you know, and however you feel about, you know, being a vegan or a vegetarian or things like that. When we were all going through a hard time in the 80s because of the oil field crash, because my grandparents had that cattle, none of their grandchildren went hungry. You know what I mean? They would always make sure that, you know, there was plenty of meat in the freezer. They'd all gone through the Depression, those kind of things. I mean, like, those were good things that I remember, you know, that in their mind is how they were helping to take care of their family. Not that my uncles and my dad couldn't take care of the family, but it was such a great way to help your sons and their families.
These are men's men and women's women that, you know, our grandfathers, they're self-sufficient. They can get a piece of land and work that land, till that land, grow some food on that land. And if everything shut down tomorrow, my family would be all right. We got this little
exactly
area.
How they did live in a lot of ways. You know, I can remember they always had preserves. I'm not big on preserves because they always had preserves, you know. And but boy, my grandmother made the best fried chicken in the world. My dad does a really great job of it. Last year I spent about a week with my Uncle Arthur and my Aunt Linda. And I was very close to them as children. So to have my children experience them was really wonderful. But I'm telling this story because I think it's so important. I got up and I could smell a familiar smell, a smell that I hadn't smelled in years. And I came in, and my grandfather's biscuits were standing right there, you know. And so you're like, oh man. I looked at my uncle, and he's like, "Go on, girl, get you some. Go on, you know." And I was like, I didn't know there's even tomato gravy, you know, the way that it was made when I was a kid. I took one bite, and my son kind of laughed at me, because I'm not kidding. I had like a tear just roll down my face, because, you know, there's things you never think you'll taste again, because a taste holds a memory. Mm-hmm. And it was just I could just see him all over again. I could hear the sounds outside just from eating that middle, and I got the middle biscuit. I had one edge biscuit and one middle biscuit, you know, just to make it the memory just right. But it was amazing. And I know everybody's got stories like that they remember. So whenever I'm singing Mississippi Take Me Home, that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. The sounds, the smells, the tastes, they take you
Yeah.
back to a certain place. I've talked to people from all over the world, and the one thing that binds us is food. All right. You go to Mississippi, you get that good home country, southern Mississippi. This is that biscuit. This is that preserve. Yeah, I ate too many preserves when I was a kid. I'm tired of preserves. But then you
Yeah,
take
I
that,
am preserved.
you take that spoonful and you go, hey, I remember this. I remember. There's always
Yeah,
that
that was
one
it.
food
That was
that
it.
you ate way
It was
too much
so
of
good.
when you were a kid, and you're like, I'll never eat that again now that I'm an adult. But you go back home, you're gonna eat that food again, and it's gonna take you back to when you were a little kid on that farm, on that piece of land with your family. Nothing is as good or as strong as family and feelings, and the sounds of music too. I mean, I'm bringing it back around to the music that you've been playing, the music that you've been making, the Red Iris music, and the solo project that we're talking about right now, Finding Irene. Oh,
Yeah.
Emily, I love talking to you. I do. I really do, and I love seeing your videos. I'm a fan. I'm a fanatic. Of you and the Red Iris Band, but mostly you. Don't tell the rest of the guys. It's mostly you.
I won't say a word.
They'll be listening to this.
Yeah, they will.
Find out what you said
Especially
about him.
OG.
Now, tell me about
I do
Jorg.
love
Tell me about Jorg over in Germany. How'd you
I
come
was
across
I
him?
was just going to say, Jorg is amazing, a wonderful, talented. We had a meeting today. It's probably supposed to last like 30 minutes. I don't know. We were probably like on a Zoom meeting for an hour and a half. It was great. We went over the album. We talked about, things that we needed to do. I got to tell him, face to face. We'll Zoom face to face. Oh my God, I love it when you do this. Like we were talking about Mississippi Take Me Home. He gives that such a Southern feel. And I do not mean country. I mean Southern. It's great. It's got like dobro and banjo and the Hammond organ. And I recorded a bunch of vocals to get a choir, and he added for a choir. His vocals for a choir. So you've got this really cool sound. And he said, you could smell the weather and see the and see the alligators in the water. We actually say crocodile, but I didn't want to
correct him.
But,
my mama said that my mama said the alligators. My mama. No, but what do you send Jorg? Do you send him a guitar riff? Do you send him the vocals only? Are you recording stuff in your room?
I have a friend, and his name is Matt Gary, and he's done the last tracks of the album he did. But I also have a friend named Keith Newman and Grace, and I can't ever forgive me, Grace. I will remember your name. How to say that? And she's like 16 years old, and she's actually the one who recorded. Let me see if I can find her name because I'd really like to say it the correct way. She's actually the one that recorded the dry vocals for Spotlight. So I'd really like to make sure I get that right.
I mean, but are you going to a studio that she's kind of makeshifted, maybe in a closet somewhere?
Well, it was kind of a makeshift studio, and this was probably April. But it's Grace Kromeka. I'm sorry, Cromika. But she's great, and she's like 16 years old, and she recorded it for me because Red Iris had worked with her. And so after that, school, all kinds of things with my school, and she's still going to school, but she's learning how to do all these things. So she did that, and then she sent me the dry vocal, and I sent that off to Jorg. And I sent that off to Jorg because he and I had sat and had a meeting because he knows so much about music. I asked him just in passing, I messaged him. I said, hey, I want to talk to you about music and about what you think about touring and what you think about writing and promotions. And so we set up a time days later, and we got on well because we had done an interview like you and I are doing. And he said, just really in passing, oh, well, if you think you have something really good, send it to me. So I send him the dry vocal of Spotlight. And then he hits me up like 8 hours later, like, this is great. We can do this with it. This is what, and we did. That's how that came about. So that was really awesome. But yeah, I send him a dry vocal, and I send him me playing the guitar, but he plays all the instruments. He takes me playing the guitar as learning the chords and how I want the song to go. And then he interprets with the instruments that he's using. So it's my vocals, my melody, my my lyrics and all that, and then I send it off to him, and he does the magic that he does with it. Like he does the drums and the bass and the banjo and the dobro and the slide guitar and all kinds of other. He's like, I use such and such and blah blah guitar, and he's all excited about it. I'm like, yeah, sounds great. I don't know anything about guitars. You know, I play guitar. I don't know anything about guitars. So it's really wonderful to have somebody so talented. You know, like none of this would be able to. I would be able to do had I not had the friendship with George that I did. So it's really a really awesome, just kismet. You know, the world aligning in such a way. I mean, think about it. It's Germany. I'm sending this music to Germany, and it's coming back to me. And I'm in League City, Texas, man. How wonderful is the world? You know, for people who are like, I wish things were back the way they were. No, not at all. Things are great, man. Just think about how hard that would be able to do. And just even the 90s, you couldn't do it.
This
like
world
this.
is getting
It's
smaller
pretty amazing.
and smaller. I'm so amazed. I talked to a guy in Australia who has a basis in the Arab estates, and then and his drummer is in Germany, and he put it all together in Australia, and there's a whole record. But your Jorg sounds like a David Copperfield. Sounds like a magic man. How many
George is
instruments is he
awesome.
playing? Everything?
Yeah.
Or is it
Everything.
synthesizer?
Yeah. And he's got like this Hammond organ that you're like, oh, okay, a couple songs have that on it. And you're just like, even when you listen to Spotlight, you can hear that in there, and you're like, shut up, that is amazing. You know, I have this song that I'm extremely proud of. It's called Like a Circle, you know, and what he did with that, because the idea of that song is there in the story, there is a man and a woman, and the woman passes away. And the last thing that she said to him is, you got to cross the bridge, you got to run the last mile, and you got to wear your smile like it's armor. She's saying that to her and to him and her children. And so then he moves on, and he's trying to find solace, and it's really hard. So like in a way, he's me. And then he helps another person, and then that person helps another person, and then it goes around like a circle. So throughout the song, those words, you know, you got to cross the bridge, you got to run the last mile, you got to wear your smile like it's armor. That means you don't let them beat you down, you know, just keep walking through it. You'll make it. I don't know where I got the lyrics, but I just did, you know. You know that I'm a really big Eddie Izzard fan.
Oh, for
and I
sure.
remember watching Eddie run. I watched every single minute of the marathons from January 2021. You might say, no, you didn't. And I'll be like, yes, I did. My friends thought I was crazy. They're like, let's go out drinking. I was like, nope. I got to be up at 5:45 to make sure I'm awake by 5:55 to make sure that by 6 a.m. I am watching the entire, because like, what else are you going to get to see? Do you know how many amazing people there were that were even on it? It was almost like a 6.5 hour podcast. Plus, afterwards, you get to watch at times, a really, really funny stand-up show to know, because you know, she was doing it to no one. And then after that, or sometimes it was just like, did Eddie just fall asleep for a second? Yep, sure did. But then you're like, but how wonderful and amazing. What a cool, interesting thing. I'm so glad my friends laughed at me because I was so tired during all of February. Like I was just exhausted I didn't miss any of it. And if I had fallen asleep and if something happened, I'd go back and I'd watch that part that I missed on YouTube just so I could say I've seen it all.
That's a fan. That's a fan. I mean, I like Eddie Izzard.
Yeah.
He's a good storyteller, and the experiences that he's had with his transgender and gender fluidity. I'm not sure exactly what he or she wants to identify as, but I love him. I love the being that is Eddie Izzard. He's a cool. Yeah, they are a cool dude. Yeah, I don't know, cool people, cool human.
Very cool human. Yeah. Eddie, from what I know of being a fan, Eddie has boy mode and girl mode. Some people don't like that terminology, but really, what else would you use?
Right.
I mean, that is somebody who literally has boy mode, like a mode with their, especially, like the Lost Symbol is such a cool show. If you aren't watching it, you should be watching it.
I'm not watching it.
It's on Peacock. It's a Dan Brown series. So if you like, Da Vinci Code and stuff like that, me and my 8-year-old watch it, which is crazy because it is kind of dark, but we really enjoy it. And then the last episode is tomorrow on Thursday. So people, if you're listening, check out The Lost Symbol. It's so wonderful. Besides that, what I was saying is, I think Eddie's a really great, wonderful person. And I like the fact that I am a big fan. I know that at the moment, Eddie's in girl mode. So it's not, I've never actually heard Eddie Izzard say, I want to be, I want these pronouns actually, for in that sense of like being mean and saying that. There's just, I've never seen Eddie be cruel or rude to anybody saying he or she or anything like that. To me, it's just Eddie. Just a really wonderful, great person. And I think she's pretty awesome. So.
Well, I'm a dinosaur. I'll probably die out real soon. I mean, I don't know pronouns. I know I'm a heterosexual male.
You know what I think about it? I think in the sense of just as long as people aren't harsh and aren't angry. I mean, how somebody wants to identify and live their life, how is it affecting anyone else?
I was talking to
don't get that.
I talked to a fella yesterday on the podcast, and he said, there's 2 guys got married. I go, well, as my 12-year-old boy mind says, well, that's 2 guys that got married, and that leaves like an extra girl out just to, for the rest of us. Hey, that's my 12-year-old mind thinking, but let them get married. There'll be more girls for me.
All right. Okay. Positivity. Got it. Anyway.
I guess. My 12-year-old boy is still stuck in my head.
For me, I think one day I bet you we'll get to a point to we're not talking about that. We're just talking about the person, and that's great. I'm a huge fan of Elton John as well. My kid's grown up in a very colorblind, gender neutral kind of world, like my son got teased because he likes pink, not on everything, but he like colored his tennis shoes pink, and this kid said was hurt his feelings really bad, and I won't tell you what I told him that he could tell that child, but I was like, you know what, don't ever worry about that. Don't worry about that. That's not even important. They haven't learned how unimportant that is, and if you like pink, go ahead and wear pink. I mean, my kids just have always grown up in that kind of sense because that's how I see the world. Whenever it's all boring, then we're good.
Yeah,
I think we'll get to that point. I think we'll get to the point where that stuff's just like, nah.
Racism is fully taught.
That's what.
Racism is fully taught. I know until 6th grade, I didn't know race. I was, a kid in Miami at a Catholic school where we had all kinds. I'm half Cuban, half Irish, I have a cousin, a first or second cousin that is black as night. And he's my cousin. He's not black. He's Cuban. Es cubano. Mano. He's my brother. And you say pink. That's my pink logo for karaoke right there. Pink.
Yeah, you do. You have it right there.
I like pink. It's the color of courage. Knights used to wear it into war, into battle. In the 1700s and before that, women would give, they would their part of their armor, part of their shielding was pink. That was the color of courage. And somewhere around the 1800s or 1900s, it became feminine. I don't know why. It's probably some kind of a marketing scheme to try to sell more pink clothes to women and more blue clothes to boy. But it separates us. Said that, it separates us.
Do you know that if you're going to buy anything, say you're going to buy anything online, I won't use the company, but anywhere, say you want to buy anything, like I've got a really cool red record player. It's red. I love it. But if I wanted it to be pink, it would have been $15 to $20 more. If I wanted it to be purple, $20 more. You know, so that when you said the marketing scheme, absolutely. And because I love pink and purple anyway. I am a girl. I am surrounded by blue from my boys, but oh my God, see, look.
Dig the Nikes. This portion of the podcast
My
brought to you by
pink
Nikes.
I love them. I love them. You know, it's because the only pink in my life is the pink that I bring into my life because I'm surrounded by boys. But so yeah, it's funny that you said that. But I take great pride in raising my children to see people and not race and gender and any of that. So yeah, and I think there's a lot of people who do that.
Yeah, I love
And
my
I
little
think in a way that
microcosm.
the South gets a bad rap because I think there's good people all over. You know, it's either you like this kind of music or that kind of music. You feel like this way, you feel that way, but you know that doesn't define you. You know.
Yeah, I do.
I really do think there's good people all over.
I do my karaoke show on a Friday night, and I got people come up to me and say, "Oh, what's the crowd look like? What kind of song should I sing?" You should sing whatever you know, whatever you like, whatever you want. I got black, white, red, brown, gay, straight. We don't know. I don't know what that guy is. He's so many. Nobody is one thing anymore. We're all several things. We're all mixed up in this melting pot. Quit separating us.
Well,
Let's just love each other.
to me, we've always been several things, but thank goodness in this world that we live in, we're allowed to be.
Yeah.
You know, things are opening up in that one sense. And I think that's pretty fabulous. You know,
I think that's where we're winding
good-
down. You got your music coming out. Are you releasing it single by single? Like the good old days when the radio station
right. So
would
right
hand me
now,
a disc.
I've got Spotlight coming out, and it just came out on Monday. And December 8th, my Christmas song, Merry Christmas, A Happy One Too, which I'd sing in different languages. Only just Merry Christmas in different languages. Don't get like I'm fancy, because I'm not fancy in any of that.
Okay, give me Meli Kaliki Maka.
I believe.
No, give me the different Merry Christmas. Meli Kaliki Maka, Feliz Navidad. Where we at?
Merry Christmas, A Happy One Too. You know, but I like the idea.
Example, different. Give me
Christmas
a different.
being very inclusive.
Give me a different language.
Oh, Frau Weihhaken is German. Boin Dali is Italian. The hardest one is French. Joanne Noel. It's hard to sing. And of course, Feliz Navidad.
You're gonna you're teaching people. You're international.
Yeah, just to say that one little thing.
Bene.
The only one I'm worried about is the language I'm trying to learn is French, because I had a great teacher. Miss Garcia was my French teacher, and she was Mademoiselle. Yeah, she was so wonderful, and I could never get it. I was just really, really bad at it. So I got Paul Noble's book. I think that's it, on audio, an audio book, and I've learned it. I think I can get a room. That's about it. You know, it's Je voudrais une chambre pour tout passant pour une nuit avec douche, which means I want a room for two people for 2 nights with a shower, because I don't want to share my shower.
Well, like Gomez said, cara mia. Oh my goodness! Every time she spoke French. Oh, that's French. Cara mia. No, all the French I know is pretty much from Lucy and what was it? Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, because they captured Napoleon, and Napoleon said, "Faut me connaître, monsieur." Do you not recognize me? Do you not know me? Yeah.
I know a few other things in French, but I won't say them.
And then Lucy with la plume, le crayon. Yeah, she was trying to teach Ethel how to speak, and she didn't know how to speak French. But no, you're learning the language of love, is from what I'm told. And yeah, every time I hear French, I love it. I love it. You're bringing the world together. You're bringing, you're expanding your mind. You're putting it all on paper and then putting it out to the world. You and Jorg. Hey, Jorg sounds like a master out there.
He's a really cool cat. I am very blessed to have him in my life, for sure.
Well, you've given a lot of shout outs. Any other shout outs you have to give? And I know this is not going to be the last time we talk. Other things are going to happen in Emily Irene Glazener's life, and you're going to come back on the What Makes You Famous podcast and tell us all about it. But no, Emily, you have any other shout outs to give before we give last words for the people?
I don't know. I made quite a few already.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I'd like to say a big thank you to Steve Willis in North Shields, England, because he got me out for the Crossing Time. I went to England and I played shows in England, and we're setting up for a tour this coming year. I'm working with George, working with him, working with other people, and won't that be so much fun? Like, I had the best time in England. I went by myself. I went wherever I wanted to go. I went to the Comedy Store. I was like, I couldn't believe I was there. I was just like, just looking around. I was second row. I wanted first row, but it was already taken up. So, because it would have been so great for them to talk to the person sitting in front of them and then be from Texas. That would have been fun. But anyways, next time, I'm just thinking next time, I went and I saw castles. I did all kinds of things, but I did that because Steve Willis was like, why don't you come out and do this festival if you can make it out? Steve Willis and Leslie Tan. So I'd say big shout out to the Crossing Times Festival. That was a blast, and they are amazing people. And they were doing a charity for Northeast Homeless, and that charity was just really wonderful as well because it's homegrown and they're really trying and really doing good, decent things and helping people. And I love being a part of that.
Very giving. You didn't come back from England like Madonna and start speaking all British, though.
No, but I've already pretty good being the sense that I've been a huge Anglophile since I was a kid. If I want to speak with a British accent, I can. So when I was there, knowing that I pick up accents here and there, I was just really, really conscious. And I was so conscious that I was really, really country when I was there. I was super duper,
Yeah, but you were the belle of the ball. As much as we like their accents, they must love our accents too.
I made it all the way down to the south of England too, because I was all the way up north. I went Swarland and Morpeth and all up there, and I came all the way down, and I went to Bexhill-on-the-Sea, and I was so excited to be there. And I walked into the Bexhill Museum, and then this lovely woman, her name is Pat, but she's Pat 2, because Pat 1 said that she couldn't be Pat 1 because he said he'd been there longer. So her name is Pat. She was Pat 2 in my head. I always remember that. And I walked in just kind of nervous because I'm there by myself. And she said, well, she said hello. And I said, howdy, how are you? Because it just comes out of me. I normally say howdy, whether I'm Texas or not. And she turned and she was like, where are you from? And I said, well, I'm from in between Galveston and Houston, Texas. And she turns to this guy to her left and said, put it down as Houston because Houston is farther than Galveston. I thought, I love this place already. Just that attitude, just that greatness immediately there. I just had such a great place. That was such a fun time. I went down, I was on the beach. It's beautiful on the beach. Then I took a plane ride a train ride the day before I came down from Newcastle. Then I went over and I met with people that I met face to face 14 years ago. And I went to Schwindon to see them. And that was great because I had to take the underground to get to a train, and I had to pay extra money because that was no longer super something time. I don't know. I got there. I did it all by myself, came back. And I remember on the train ride back, I was like, I'm going to go to Bexhill. And I did. And then my very last day in London, I walked all through Chelsea, walked across the Chelsea Bridge, came back. I think it was because I think I was staying in a hotel that literally you could go down through the hotel and get out into Victoria Station. It was just the Claremont. I stayed at the Claremont. It's so old. And I thought it was so amazing and majestic. And it's going to be, you look at all the pictures online. You're like, oh, wow, I'm staying there. Then I walk through and I love it. Don't think I'm thinking anything bad of this. I walk to my room and it's a closet.
Yes.
It's just
yes. That's what I've been told.
But I love it. It was wonderful. I didn't need anything bigger than that, but I just thought, you think it's going to be this big, magnificent, huge room. And I got a closet. Yeah. And I was like, perfect. And it really was perfect. I enjoyed my time in London. I had the best time in Newcastle. Like I said, I was in Morpeth. I was in Schwallen. I was in Tynemouth. I know there's Annick. I went all the Annick and Allenmouth. You know, I went all. I just I'm trying to remember all the great places that I went. And then, of course, when I went down to Bexhill, and then when I went to Schwinden, and I had a blast.
Yeah, we think of a place that's 150, 200 years old. Oh, my goodness, that's pretty old. No, you get over to Mother England, old Mary England, and they got stuff that's, 5, 6, 100,000 years old. Stuff.
Yeah, I was listening to. I was re-listening to the audiobook, Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, the Eric Idle, because I'm a huge comedy fan. I've read quite a few, and I don't have any credits left, so I went back to reread that, and I'm really enjoying it, because by the time I get all the way through it again, then I'll have more credits left, because I just read 2 James Acaster books. I read, Classic Scrapes, James Acaster, who's an amazing comedian. He's so funny. But he has this book out called Perfect Sound Whatever. And it's about how he downloaded, and it sounds crazy, but it's about how he downloaded in 2017, he spent the entire year downloading over 300 albums from 2016. And that's how he got through one of the hardest years of his life. It's a wonderful book. I think everybody who loves music and comedy should read it. It's on Audible. It's very, very good. I read those 2 books. I read Billy Connolly's Windswept and Interesting.
Talk about British comedy. Fantastic. He's a legend.
Oh yeah, he's from Glasgow. It's that I laughed until I cried, and then I cried until I laughed. To see that journey of this wonderful human being, it's beautiful. And if you like music and comedy, Billy Connolly is music and comedy, and amazing actor as well. So, but because I just watched Mrs. Brown, with him and Judi Dench, and every time he walks into the room of that entire movie, he's got such swagger. You're like, I love Billy Connolly. That's a great movie too. I could go on and on.
No, you are an Anglophile, to say the least. I mean, you've definitely proved it in those last few paragraphs, besides the Elton John and the Charlie Chaplin sitting behind you on the video.
Yeah. Well, then I've got let's see. Then I've got the Beach Boys,
Okay,
and then
we
there's
got a little
Marilyn
America
Monroe,
in there. Sure.
And all my books, I've got, yeah.
You're well-rounded. World travel, and I suspect you'll travel some more. I appreciate that. Now, you didn't take the kids on that one? It was all you?
No, it was all me.
Wow.
I was so excited of just going by myself. I think that we don't get to do the things we want to do because we're with someone. We're always trying to want to negotiate with them or please them. And just at least the very first time I ever went to the UK, I was so excited that I went by myself because I made all the decisions.
Yes.
I can remember I worked with a travel agent and they were like, oh, do you want this tour and this tour? I said, I don't want any tour.
No,
not unless I go there and I pick the tour, because I don't want to be stuck doing something that, people going to the Comedy Store wasn't on a tour, You know what I mean? Walking through Hyde Park the way I did, stopping and having a drink and, the water, and then going back and taking my time. One of the coolest things that I did is I saw a very familiar statue, and I was going, one way, and I saw the statue, and I was like, no, I know I've seen that. So, I can't remember what it's called, but it's something in energy. It's this beautiful statue where the rider is barefoot, the horse is up. It's just great and beautiful. It's stunning. So after seeing that statue, I just took another turn, and in front of me, as I'm getting closer to it, it's this big, there's a statue, and then there's a structure. And as a musician, all musicians will get this, especially if you love old rock and roll and classical music and whatever. I get on the other side of the structure, and there in front of me is the Royal Albert Hall. And I thought, out of all places to walk to, I walked to the Royal Albert Hall. Wow. that was just it was so crazy. And then shortly after that, a cabbie picked me up because I was looking at my phone. I was looking around, and he turned around. His name was Ian. I remember that. He picks me up, and he goes, he was like, "Do you need a ride, love?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I do." Because by that time, I really didn't know where I was. And he goes, "Well, where's your hotel? I'll take you there." And I said, "Well, I'm staying at the Claremont, but I want to go to the Comedy Store." And he says, "Well, it's not open." And then I was kind of cocky. I was like, "Yeah, but there's got to be a restaurant around there somewhere, and eventually it's going to be open." He's like, "Get in."
Well, back up,
just so great.
because I feel like such a dunce. What is the Royal Albert Hall? I'm guessing that's a fancy,
okay.
a fancy
No,
music
it's
place.
The Royal Albert Hall. There's so many amazing concerts that have been at the Royal Albert Hall, but there are also places where that they have concerts, but that's also part of the Royals. I mean, that's that thing. Like, have you ever heard of the? I believe it was the Royal Albert Hall, and if I'm wrong, people tell me I'm wrong. But like where the Beatles are famous for saying, the people, clapping, and the people in the front, just rattle your jewelry. It's the Royal Albert Hall. It's like venues. I know Elton John's played there. Everybody's played there. There's supposed to be the sound that you get. It's kind of like playing Carnegie Hall. It's the Royal Albert Hall. So to know and to read about it and everything, and then just to walk right in front of, and then the other side of the Royal Albert Hall, like when I walked all the way around to the other side, is the Royal Academy of Music. And I was like,
yeah.
I just, just turned around going like, out of all places to go, I went. I just thought it was really wonderful.
Well, some of those stages, it's not just the acoustics, it's the spirits that inhabit those spaces.
Probably.
That you feel.
You can see great shows at the Royal Albert Hall. Like, it's a venue. It's a stage. I've read about it since I was a kid. So to know that I walked there, not even knowing that's where I was walking was so great. And then the way I made it to the Comedy Store was so cool. I tried to make it to Covent Garden, but I couldn't because it got really, really packed. And I thought, I really don't know, I am here by myself. So I turned around, and I kind of regret it. I did see some great street performers. And so a few of them I would tip. Yeah, the thing I noticed is I guess I tipped too much because people were always really nice when I tipped. Like when I went into the Comedy Store, I saw a thing, it was 4 tips, and it was almost empty. So I put like £4 in because I normally would tip about $5, So I put like £4 in. I'll never forget the lady at the bar. She turned around. She goes, "My name's Lily." "What's your name?" And I said, "It's Emily." She goes, "It's so nice to meet you. Where are you from?" Because it was weird, I guess, that I was tipping. I don't know.
Yeah, here's some more of that worthless money.
Other friends of mine who were like, "You tip too much." And I was like, "Well, that's just how much I tip here." They're like, "But the money value is different." I was like, "Well, I don't care." I had to spend. I'm going to spend it. I had a great time.
Yeah, well, what are we going to do with this worthless money here in the States? Come on, here. You guys have it. Enjoy it. No, you're good. You're very giving.
When I got home, I came home with about 150 pounds. No, I came home with 160 pounds. So I actually used that as gifts. And my friends all still have it. Almost all of my friends, I gave them 20 pounds. And they loved it. They thought this was better than getting something else. Because it's plastic, too. Like, I wish I had my wallet with me. Because it's different. It's see-through, and it's got Braille on it. I'm just very impressed with it. I loved England.
Wow.
I can't wait to go back.
And you've also, I never know what I'm going to get with you, Emily, because you also give travel tips. Don't get a guided tour. Just grab a map and go. Did you even have a map? It sounded like you were wandering the streets.
I didn't have a map. I just followed people. I paid attention to where I was because I was completely by myself. I didn't go down alleys. I didn't talk to people that I didn't know. I didn't. And if I was sitting at a bar, sometimes people would approach me, or when I was taking a picture. And at one point, there was a family that was behind me, right outside of Hyde Park. And we were taking this picture, and I accidentally got into it. And I was, oh, I'm sorry, y'all. And I said, y'all. And they were just like, "Where are you from?" Because they loved. And then I never said I was from America, because I'm from Texas. So I was like, "I'm from Texas." And then they love it. They want to know where that is. And then we have this nice conversation, and everybody's very polite, and we all go our own ways. It was just, I loved being there. I thought the people were wonderful. I loved the cabs. The cab drives. That it was just every bit of it was just fan freaking tastic.
Oh, people around the world know where Texas is. You know, they may not know where Delaware
People around
is,
the
but
world
they know where
Texas
Texas is.
They know how important Texas is.
For sure.
So it was cool. I was very impressed.
Well, all right. Let's wind this thing down. You got the kids all fed. You had to bring home that food before we started this, and
I haven't been fed.
yeah, we got to put some food in Irene's belly there.
Yes.
And I think
but you know what's really funny? While we were talking,
yeah,
my oldest son called, so I'm just going to text him real quick if you don't mind.
I don't.
So we'll text back.
I mean, you're well on your way to learning.
He is on the USS H.W. Bush aircraft carrier.
What?
Yeah, my oldest son's in the Navy.
What's his job?
Very, very aviation ordnance. And I laugh because he'll say something like, I was building a bomb. And I was like, on the ship? You're on a ship. You were in the Navy. And wiretap.
Yeah,
he's in the Navy.
Yeah. FBI, CIA, NSA, and
whoever's listening in the Navy.
Whatever other initials are out there listening. Well, that's fantastic. I hope he never has to see war. I hope he always goes on those peace missions where they help people. I wish we didn't have to have a Navy where we, built bombs, built houses. Yeah. And we'll go back to the beginning where just get along with each other, just love each other. We're only here for a finite amount of time. Let's get along. So, yes, Emily, always a pleasure to chat with you. You want to give last words for the people?
Yeah, I really love this. I use it quite often on my Twitter not when it has anything to do with music, but with family and friends. And I just find the good where you are. Because no matter what you're doing, there's some good somewhere where you are. And if you take the time, instead of finding the negative of oh man, I missed my ride, well then there might be something good on your phone. Just find the good where you are. Instead of trying to find something negative, find the good.
Usually I cut it right there, but I'm going to go ahead and let you tell people how to get a hold of you. I forgot all about that.
Okay, well, you can find me on Twitter at Emily_Glazener. Glazener is Glazener. And you can find me on my website, EmilyGlazener.com. I got that from Elris CE all the way out in the UK. Chris Gregory is such a cool cat. He does a South Devon radio station, and he also does websites, and just really cool guy. So I'd say thank you so much, because that was so awesome that he did that for me.
Well, there you have it, party people. Always a pleasure talking to Irene Glazener. Oh my goodness. She lights up my social media, and I light up when I see her face on my screen. I appreciate when Emily Glazener puts something out there. And now she's got a song and a full album coming out just for you. And she's even trying her hand at singing in different languages. So look out for that Christmas record coming out as well. But, please, by all means, head over to your Spotifys and your Amazons and your Apples and purchase a copy of the Spotlight song. Emily Glazener, Spotlight. Check it out. Like I said in the beginning, that song, it's really torn down in the beginning. It's really her showing off her pipes and her abilities. She's been honing that craft, honing her voice for the longest time, and I think she's got it. I think she's got something. Yeah, I'm a fan. I like it. And I figure if I like it, somebody else is going to like it too. So, I encourage you. Check out Emily Glazener. And Red Iris while you're at it. Check out Red Iris, her band. She fronts that band. So it's a bunch of boys in the back, and the beautiful, the lovely, the talented Emily Glazener out in the front. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast once again. What makes you famous? I look forward to talking to you again real soon as time progresses. All right, that's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. If you, yes, you, I'm turning my attention to you. If you would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.